He's one of the smartest guys. And then I can't go through like a whole list, but like Geraldo, I think definitely would have been like an amazingly fucking super great comic if he was like so almost there, but then everything fell apart. But Sam Kinnison's the one guy that I wish I had seen or at least gotten to like see him live, because I feel like he is like an underrated comic.
It was Carlin's favorite comic.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Well, I don't know if it was his favorite, but Carlin said he would say, when he'd see comics, in his mind he would either say, not a threat or threat. And when he saw Kinnison, it was in his last book, it was all capitals. Big fucking threat, huge threat, enormous fucking threat. Like, he realized, and I really love the way he put this, Carlin, I realized I had to get louder, because as loud as Sam was, I had to get louder, but not with my voice. What I was saying had to be louder. Not in volume, but in concise perfection of what. And that's Carlin to me is just like
he's your guy. Yeah.
I just like when I write stuff, I go like when I do a rewrite on something, I'll go, would Carlin read this and call me a fag? Like, or when you read it and go, this is pretty good. Like, and I always I have to like figure out a way. Like, do you ever do that? Like, if all right, go back to your list. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say the thing I love about Sam Kinison is that like he was power, and I appreciate power as long as it's not hacky power, and his never was. It was like righteous, like religious, like almost like he broke out of a fucking like Jessica Dupree fucking cult, like he just broke out of the fucking shed and he's like telling the tale. And I love like his imagery was like so good, and he'd get in your face, and like it was just like ultimate power and control, and like I just love all that religious shit, and he didn't pull back. So
what about Hicks?
Hicks, same thing, but Hicks was I thought Hicks was a better joke writer, and he
did a lot of unfunny stuff.
Yeah, but that was the coolest part, though. He was
not if you're buying a comedy album and you're a young, you're like, wait a minute, this is a half hour. He's yelling at everybody.
Well, the cool thing about him is that he really did the road. He didn't just do Fez and like Austin and like San Francisco and go, I'm on the road. No, he was like in fucking Birmingham, Alabama. He was in
Stardom.
Yeah, he was like playing these places, and people were like and he's like, shut the fuck up, Jesus. And then he would go right back into it. He never compromised. And, I compromise every fucking second I'm up there.
I do too, but that's because we're dancing for our lives.
Well, I kind of like love the fluidity of it, but these guys go up there with like, in their head, like, this is what it is.
I got to get this message across.
Yeah, and I'm not, that's why I'll never be a great comic.
But see, I think that's why you will always be a great comic, is because I think once you go from conveying things that make you laugh to feeling like you need to convey a message, I think you're in some fucking deep water and you got a problem.
That's hard. Yeah, it's hard to get across like when you have like a
when Hicks is up there talking about abortion and yelling at everybody like, well, then raise the fucking kid. Right? I'm like, yeah, that's no one bought a ticket to hear you take this.
Yeah, but the fact that he said it, dude, I mean, back then that was really rough stuff. I mean, like today, nobody even talks about abortion. I mean,
Let's talk about it now.
Okay. Abortions are expensive. Thank God for lakes. Am I right? Baby go splash, splash. That got booed in every town but Cleveland. I'm telling you right now. For some reason, I guess because there's a lake there.
Yeah.
So they were like, I can picture that.
Because in Cleveland, if you throw a baby in the lake, the baby bounces back.
Yeah, if he comes back, he's Moses.
The lake's so dirty, he just bounces back like a rat pat tattaran. What is your...
Well, Hitler, I guess, would put in that list. That's funny, like when you put
He was hilarious. He had good ideas in the beginning.
I'd put Alexander the Great-er.
If you were a trucker, what would your handle be?
Oh, here comes Drippy Dick. I'm coming down.
You can't curse, probably.
Yeah.
I want you to pick a real... Don't act like you haven't thought of 14 different handles. You'd be Merlin.
No, well, you and I both are in love with Vietnam when we would say, like, the kid who would come to high school dressed as a Vietnam kid?
Yeah.
And, like, that was your joke.
John Maletti.
Yeah. And
camouflage pants.
He'd be like, hey, man. And, like, he was really into Vietnam. Now it's like...
He'd make a bowl in wood shop.
Kids are lucky if they can fucking wear camis.
What would your handle be, do you think?
What, in Vietnam?
No, if you were a trucker. Ice road trucker. You got the solitude. You got to need a mic check.
Here comes Big D. I don't know.
Big D.
But what would be on your dashboard? That's what I want to know. Like, would it be like a Jesus?
I think you're going hula girl. Right?
But that's been done. Like, you got to make it more like, whatever.
But you'd have a little... That's quite a shrine you have there, Garcia. You'd have like a little shrine around the hula girl, because I think you'd have to talk to the little lady. Like, hey, could you give me a lift? Hold on, let me talk it over with the little lady.
See, I always wish I was in the Navy, but like in the Navy of the 70s, like when it was like that crazy, like, you know, like Bangkok and fucking Hong Kong and
Let's
all
bring the
this.
sub up in the middle of a Japanese fishing boat. See what happens.
Yeah, like
it's made of wood.
So that would be cool if I was like in the Navy, you know, had a Filipino wife and we're both truckers, you know, and I, you know, like we're driving shit around. She's yelling at me.
You could be a sea captain.
Pigeon English.
Pigeon.
You no good. You no good behind the wheel. You no good in the attack.
How you not make U-turn in Galveston Bay? Galveston Bay, enormous U-turn territory.
Yeah, you're so fucking good at these fucking voices, dude. You ever do any like cartoon shit?
I try. I don't know why no one asks me. You can make a lot of money doing that, I hear.
Well,
hey, where were you when you heard Randy Macho Man Savage died?
Well, I was mid-colonoscopy. And I'll tell
Really?
you, no.
Did it snap you
I
out
always
of
say
your...
that for everything. Earthquake. I was mid-colonoscopy.
I was in my Merced haze.
Oh, shit. When did he, when was that now?
Got in a car accident. You don't know where you were? He died. No, he died in a car crash. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Snap into a seatbelt! I don't know. Schimmel died in a car crash. That beat cancer.
That guy, another underrated great
Yeah.
comic.
He's a guy that kicked cancer in the face fucking 14 times, and then his fucking daughter rolls the car in a drive to Phoenix.
Yeah, but you know what?
That is
I talked to
horrible.
him.
Talk about God laughing.
I talked to him like, you know, he was in. I sent him some cash and everything, and I'm not saying like, you know, like to like hooray for me, but that dude, man, I respect the shit out of him because his like fucking comedy only got better. Like with every problem God fucked him with, it only like was better. It's like, so then I'm getting the chemo. You know, it's like, who can do a chemo joke? He can.
Yeah.
I mean, like honestly,
of
I would have been like, fuck, dude, you know, game over, it's done. And he's like, no, I'm whatever. And to the end of his days, it was like, you know, I'm afraid my condition is going to hurt my road work. Like he was a comic to the end, you know. And by the way, whoever is in charge of his shit, like, let's get that benefit together, East Coast style, because they never
Schimmel?
did it East Coast. Yeah, because I'm sure they need some coin, and like, you know, I definitely want to be a part of that because I respect that guy.
I like
forever.
Schimmel, and what I really
I mean, that was a good call. I'm glad you brought that up.
And the thing about Schimmel too is like anybody he brought around was always awesome. Like he would always like if it was his daughter was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like whoever was around him, there was never like some dangling fucking asshole in his little crew. He'd have like 3 people with him, and if he left the room, you could have a complete high-end conversation with whatever person he was floating around. He didn't hang out with a bunch of dummies.
No,
Like everyone around him was super hip and like knew all your references, or like there was a very interesting crew he hung out with.
he never got his break, and when he would get a break, it would turn to fucking.
Well, in all fairness, he was like on the Young Comedian special. He did like a ton of Lettermans
Yes,
and
okay.
Leno's and.
But like he gets
with
a
Johnny.
sitcom, and then he gets cancer,
Right.
And, you know, like I mean, it's just like it's so dramatic.
He got a
Someone's
lot
gotta
of
make
bad breaks, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. But like, I met him in Montreal at the comedy festival, and like Slayton, who another guy I think is a great comic. I mean, people have problems. No, just the fact that like he's pumping it out like he does, and like every joke I have, he has a version of that joke, and like every, you know, it's like I'm really just like the same kind of comic he is, but you know, in a different style because he's like an attack comic. He's a knife fighter. I'm
He's
a
the
knife
pit bull
fighter.
of comedy, let me tell you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, but he's like, you know, class, and I'm just like trash, and it's like I
think you got it backwards.
No, I admire like, you know, a dude who was like pumping it out like that. But I met him in Montreal, Schimmel, where he was just like dating his wife, who was the daughter's friend. You know, it's like that cool. And his little daughter,
very Parisian story.
his little
they put
daughter
together.
was in there too, and I was like, this is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever. It's like,
but everybody was cool. It was like
but I was young, you know, so
a
I was
traveling
like,
commune.
yeah, I was young, and it's like, and like, you know, the little daughter's like looking at the father with the young sister, wife, girl. It's like, Daddy, I want to be your wife. You know, like it's like what every daughter would say.
Warren
to their
Jeffs of comics,
and like we're all about. And the worst part is we're all about there to go up and do like some of the most vicious dick pussy jokes. It's at the Nasty Show. You know, so it's like this little girl's there. It's like, hey, we went to see what they made poutine today, and then he's up there like, you know, you can fuck a chicken, but you shouldn't eat it. You know, I don't even know what the bit. You know, like we're all trying to outdo each other with filth.
The thing with Geraldo, you mentioned him earlier, and he was so good at being present and being a comic in front of an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And at the roasts, I think is where he separated
dynamite.
himself and made a name for himself. But like, I think the thing with his, they're dropping like fucking flies, Dave.
They really are.
But the thing with him was, it just seemed like he had his shit together. Like he was never. No,
He's a party guy.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew he like partied, like he would drink and do coke, but he didn't strike me as a guy like would wind up dead in a hotel room in New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Well,
like Kinnison, it was just countdown to when that shit was going to happen, and it didn't even happen that way. It happened another car accident.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a sad tale, but you know, people dwell on always like the drugs and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, like you said,
deal,
like
Dave.
why are people not happy? Like they're doing all these different things. It's like I think Greg was so smart and such a good comic that like it bored him, like the system of like, you know, go out to LA and get like a TV show, and he had many pilots with Comedy Central, and like, you know, I think it the whole system, like he saw the hypocrisy in it, and like, you know, he also was like a guy who, you know, everything, he could pretty much do everything, like Harvard, and like he was a lawyer and all that kind of stuff.
Law degree.
I mean, and like comedy, he went from like, you know, a good comic to like what I consider like, this guy is just like blowing the shit out of me in terms of like great topical humor. Like I would do a topical joke and then I would call him immediately and go like, what's your joke on this? And he would like have a better joke. And then after a while, like I could tell when the drugs were involved, he'd be like, "Oh no, I'm not doing that," or whatever. But like, there's some of his fucking jokes were just like, you know, honestly, I could never tire of him listening to him, but I know he was tired of saying them. So
it seemed like his shelf life for himself, his own voice, was shorter than all of ours. Like if you and I have like a new,
he was bored,
yeah. Like you and I have a new 10 minutes. Like it's about 4 months, and you keep honing it and peeling the onion. But it seems like if he had a new thing, he'd do it like on Friday, and then by Saturday he's like, ugh, I can't keep saying that fucking joke. I did it 2 shows already. He
was so good, like so quick with the topical stuff. And on the roast, you really get to see like a pure fucking like, he did his job. When it was like Geraldo, Lisa, and Jeff, you know, the old school thing, like they went in there and bang, bang, bang. And now like the new generation of
Jeselnik to me is like,
oh yeah, these guys like take a different direction, which is refreshing and I think great. Amy
Patrice I thought was really funny because Patrice, it's almost like he got taken out of his game. Like everything he had prepared, he just went up and said, "Fuck it," and went, "William Shatner, you're just like a racist old dude."
Yeah,
like he just started talking.
Patrice is one of the most pure guys ever in comedy, and like
no doubt,
he's another guy where I look at him, I'm like, dude, what I'm about to do, I know you're going to think is hacky, but I'm really like trying these jokes. And he was always very supportive to me, but I really respect Patrice. And I know the younger comics, they really fucking love Patrice because he is definitely a non-conformist, he's very comfortable with saying the word no. Like, I'm not going to do that. I don't think that's right. No, I'm not doing it. And like, you know, the dude doesn't have a lot of money, and right now he's in a really bad place, so we're all thinking good thoughts, but that's balls in this business to like, you know, be able to say like, "Fuck you, no, I don't do that."
I'm not going
to know who you are. You know,
I'm not going to go do The Office. I don't feel like it.
Yeah, that's fucking.
It's
balls,
like no,
man.
it's The Office. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He didn't. He had like. He
said to me, he goes, "They asked me to come back for a 6th episode, and I just picture BJ Novak looking at me like judging me." He was like, it fucking bothered him, and I was like trying to explain to him like, but don't you understand? Like everyone on a TV set is completely like you're the if you're a comic, you're the unicorn.
Yeah, you fucking are. That's
they
for
don't
sure.
know how the fuck you exist. Well, and then here you are acting. You're doing exactly what we're doing, but we can't in a million years just go and do what you do.
Oh well. I don't know how you do it, Jay, because you are a good actor. I'm not fucking stroking you right now, but like, for my very few stand-up, my little amount of acting, I've always felt like, you know what? These people are going to get together and have a barbecue, and I really hope they don't invite me because, you know, like it's like I want to get through this day because I feel so uncomfortable being around all this fake love and support. When I know in the minute they leave, they're going to go, who the fuck was that guy? Why couldn't we get a better version of that bald motherfucker? Because I always felt like I just spent the last week in a hotel somewhere jerking off to like, you know, time, actually the clock moving. And these people like coming from like, we had a 70s bowling party last night. I'm tuckered out. Now, where are my lines? It's like
What were you for Halloween?
Yeah, like, oh, come on. It's going to be a fun get-together. Bring your old shoes. We're going to give them to third world kids. It's going to be fun.
Your voice you're using right now is a cross between a 50s actor and Rodney. Hey, come on. We're all going to have a good time, kid. Okay, all right.
Don't worry, guys. It's all going to be great.
It's all going to be good. Hey, kid, you want to get fucked up? Okay, all right.
But I always felt like I had nothing in common with these people. I was like, ugh. God,
Well, we don't.
Don't start a conversation with me because it's only going to go wrong, you know? And then the guy